All right, it's now recording. Okay, well, thank you everybody for coming to the latest Trees Around the Globe Student Research Campaign webinar. My name's Brian Campbell. As most of you know, I'm the one who you get all the emails from and the Outlook notices, pretty frequently. I'm the lead of the campaign. The co-lead of the campaign is Peter Nelson. He's a researcher and professor out in Oregon State University. I don't see him on right now. I know he's getting ready for the AGU conference next week. I'll be there as well. A lot of us are getting ready for that, where we showcase a lot of the stuff NASA does. We'll showcase what Globe does at the NASA exhibit. So so that's a week-long thing, American Geophysical Union. It's in Washington, D.C. this year. And I think I'll be there, leave this Saturday, and then come back the following Friday. So it's a lot of awesome science in a week's time. It's really cool stuff to talk to scientists about everything you can imagine Earth science related. And if you're not familiar with AGU, Earth science is the idea of the conference, American Geophysical Union. It's the largest Earth science conference in the world every year. So we are going to now get started on this, and I'm going to share my screen so I can go through a couple things here real fast. So we are going to use some slides here. All right, so this is webinar number 4, and it's entitled Getting Tree Science Done, live from Shoemate Middle School. And I'm going to do this again, even though, I thank you guys for coming back so soon, simply because, we had a webinar last Tuesday, but we wanted to really get one in here in December, because I know towards the end of December it's tough with holiday season, around the corner. So it's really tough. So we wanted to do it earlier, and Jeff agreed to do this with his students earlier in the month. So we figured out a time that's best to work, and that's tonight. But I wanted to show you this, all about the top 5 November 2018 measurements for tree height, greenings, and land cover. And we have in tree height for this is the last 30 days, so it's top 5 in November. So Jeff, our speaker for tonight, is their school's in the lead for this month, for November. And then we have some other schools, another one in the U.S., and we have a school from Argentina, one from Ukraine, and one from Oman. Not many measurements in tree height, but tree height isn't the one that everybody goes to right away. But I mean, it is a focus of this campaign, and we're seeing more and more every day. So that's what we're hoping for. And then we have greenings, which would be green up and green down. And we have schools in Poland, Ukraine, and Croatia in the lead for this one. So that's great. Congratulations for that. And we have land cover. And that is Poland, Croatia, the United States, and Japan, another school from Poland. So that's great. We have measurements coming in from all over the world for the campaign. So super excited to see all that. So congratulations. Have exciting news in a couple slides here that'll extend what's going on with the measurements a little further. So here we have this. Sorry, I got to shift something on my screen here. Alrighty, sorry, I couldn't see something. So I'm going to show this during every webinar, because this is a Trees Around the Globe student research campaign. And this is what we want to accomplish during the campaign. We have this nice little tree figure here. Why study trees? Why trees? And how do we learn about trees? We can go to tree research experts, like for the Forest Service, researchers. You can go to NASA scientists. You can go to educators, those who are experts in the field. We also can look at the satellite instrument data and maps. And what's cool about this is, the ICET-2 mission is one of the backbone missions for this campaign. And very soon, within the next week or so, we are going to have a publicly released data of the ICET-2 elevation data. And it's not just tree height. I mean, of course, it's looking at the land ice and sea ice. It's looking at anything on the planet that has elevation, from the oceans to buildings to trees, to mountains to landforms, to all these things. So we're going to be having these measurements available to the public very soon. So I'll let everybody know about that. It'll be on the campaign website as well. And then we look also at student data, the globe measurements. And the one thing that's really exciting is we're looking at the cultural impact of trees. And for instance, we have next year, earlier in the year, either in February or March, we are having a presentation at one of our webinars from a gentleman who is part of the Salish tribe out of Montana. And they look at trees, they take measurements, but they look at trees in a totally different way, totally cultural. So super excited to hear about that. But we want to look at that because we know around the world, trees play a cultural role. And that's one thing we want to do. We want to understand, yes, the local measurements. We want to understand the local culture as well. Because, you know, at NASA, we always like to figure out the larger scale picture of things. So that's why we want to do it. And then global student and school collaboration networking. We want you guys to work together, you know, whether it's states, schools and states in the United States working together, or all over the world, you know, Croatia working with Nigeria, you know, Estonia working with Ukraine, you know, schools all over the world. So that's what we saw a lot in ENSO. We saw a lot of things happening with ENSO. So we are super excited to see that. All right. Yeah, I saw Oscar. Yeah, connection to the land. That's who we want to see. Oh, there's Oscar. Yeah, thank you, Oscar, for joining us. So yeah, great. All right. So here, you know, here's the campaign website. It's a long website, but you can just go to the Globe page and look under campaigns, and you'll find it. Now, one thing I want to highlight here is something that we're going to have. Globe has historically had things called intensive observation periods, or IOPs. And what we're going to do with this campaign, we're going to do this as part of the campaign in the sense of we're going to do it by kind of like the seasons. So we're going to have one in January, one in April, one in July, and one in October. And what happens here is during these intensive observation periods is that we're going to be taking measurements of tree height and one additional protocol from the suite of campaign protocols. And you're going to take measurements. If you want to be part of it, you have to take measurements at least 3 times per week for 1 month at the same study site for both protocols. So you want to do a tree height measurement, but then you can do another measurement. You can do carbon cycle, you can do precipitation, you can do soil temperature, surface temperature, air temperature, as long as you're doing the tree height one and another one. And by the end of the month, you should have noticed how many data points you recorded with tree height measurements and the additional protocol. And you're eventually going to have to, you know, to prove that, I can go in and look at everything. But I want you to come to me and say, hey, you know, by the 5th day of the following month, you know, for this it would be February 5th, come to me and say, we did this many, you know, we did this many observations. We submitted this much data. And then I can go back and look at that and verify that. And then each participant will receive a virtual tree height IOP badge that will go on the Globe website for your school or, you know, at your teacher name. But then there will be one school that will have the most collected tree height data and additional protocol data. They'll get a virtual one-on-one Q&A session with a NASA scientist, researcher, or engineer. And they will get a coveted virtual tree height IOP winner badge. So that will go on the site as well. So you'll get, you know, if you participate, you'll get the participation badge. If you win, you'll get the winner badge. If you win, you're going to get both badges. So you can send me emails about this, you know, if you have any questions about it. And I'm going to take you after Jeff does a presentation and his students, I'm going to take you to the website to show you where you can find that information. But you just have to worry about January now. So as you look here on the left side, January will be tree height, April will be land cover, July will be tree height, and October will be land cover. So what we're hoping to do is have you to compare the tree height data in January to the tree height data you take in July, 2 totally different seasons. Then also with the land cover in April and October. And then you can compare tree height, land cover, compare them all throughout the year. So in these intensive observation periods allow for something called data density. And data density helps us understand a local environment a lot better. You know, scientific method, a lot more data you have, you know, a lot more good data you have, the more you know about the area. So we're super excited about that. And we just announced it today on the website. So there's not much going on out there about it yet, but here's just a little shareable about it. So we're going to focus on tree height for January 2019. So let me jump to the chat real quickly here. Sweet. Okay. Awesome. All right. That's great, Dort. Dort mentioned that it's this great idea. I wouldn't have a clue as to how much my trees at home might grow in 6 months. Yeah, you don't know. Depending upon what tree type it is, you just don't know. And another little tidbit is coming in the first quarter of next year, the NASA Globe Observer citizen science app that currently has clouds, mosquito hat mapper, and land cover. We will be releasing a tree height measurement as part of the NASA Globe Observer. So you're going to be able to do it with your phone very easily. We've been working through the technology and doing testing. So to get something that will work with your cell phone or your tablet. So stay tuned for that. I'll definitely let you know when all that comes out, because that'll be an easy way to get a lot of tree height data, in the Globe system. All right. So without further ado, should mention, our next webinar will be January 15th, 2019. That will be at 2 p.m. We're going to go back to the 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is 7 o'clock p.m. UTC. And that will be live from Croatia, Investigations of Park Mlaka. And this is the next campaign webinar, so super excited about this. Some students from current students in a school in Croatia will be doing a presentation, and so will former students who are now at university will be doing a presentation. And the students who are at university now started the research, and the students who are in the school now are continuing that research 2-3 years later. So that is an awesome thing to see, and we're so glad that's part of this campaign. So they're doing investigations of this park, and I'm super excited to learn more about this. I don't know where it is there. I have to look up where it is in Croatia, but to know so much about a certain area by taking measurements is very cool, and that's what Globe's all about. All right. So I want to show you something real quickly. So since we're talking about Michigan today, we'll be talking with Jeff Bauman and his students from Shoemate Middle School in Gibraltar, Michigan. And since this is a tree campaign and 'tis the season, I have a video here that it's talking to a farmer and scientist, and it's very short. It's only a couple minutes, but it talks to you about how Christmas trees are grown in Michigan, and it's very dependent upon the soil that they're in and the soil moisture. All depends upon what type of Christmas tree you can grow. So let me show you this right here. Hopefully it comes through clearly.
A second consideration that we should pay particular attention to relates to soil type and soil texture. Again, in Michigan, we have many different kinds of soils. We have organic soils, which are commonly referred to as mucks. We have heavier textured soils that will have a high clay content. We have moderate textured soils. We refer to these as loams. And then we might have a very sandy soil or a light soil. With regard to the success of growing Christmas trees in your operation, species like Fraser fir, for example, will not tolerate poorly drained, heavy soils. They prefer a loam to a lighter textured soil and will do much better with regard to producing a quality tree on that kind of a location. On the other hand, for the heavier soil, species like spruce, Colorado blue spruce or black hill spruce will grow quite well on that. They're not as prone to injury from late spring frost problems as we have with some of the true firs, particularly concolor fir and perhaps balsam fir. We should also consider the influence of soils on drainage. Again, some of our species will not tolerate wet sites. For example, it is commonly stated that Fraser fir will not grow on a site where heavy soils are present, where water may stand for 24 hours or more following a significant thunderstorm or in the spring runoff from melting snow or whatever. So we need to take that factor into consideration.
Sorry, Jeff, that's Michigan State. All right. I'd like to introduce our featured speakers tonight for Getting Tree Science Done, live from Shoemate Middle School in Gibraltar, Michigan. This is Jeff Bauman. He's a teacher at Shoemate Middle School. He's also an adjunct education, technology, and science education professor at University of Michigan, Dearborn. And Jeff, do we have all the students with you tonight or online?
As of right now, we have Brady with us, Brian, and what was that?
I said, sweet. That's cool.
Okay. Yep. So Brady's with us, and the other two are not going to be joining us tonight. Funny story, our district just implemented this Go Guardian filter program to monitor the internet at our building. And so when the students left with their Chromebooks today, the Zoom extension has been blocked apparently. So my phone's been getting blown up for the last 15 minutes. How do we get in? How do we get in? So Brady and his wonderful parents, they got him in on their home computer. So he's chilling at home tonight from La Casa de Jascula over there. So they're watching from home. And so Thomas and Lily are scrambling right now trying to get in, and my phone's been blowing up for the last few minutes. Man. So we're trying.
That's
the thing is, if kids wouldn't mess with the technology, this wouldn't happen. You know what I'm saying? So anyways. Yeah, right. So Brady's with me tonight for sure, and hopefully the other two can join. So
cool. And I put a little Go Blue logo there if you notice that.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. That must have pained you to do that, but you know, make right decisions every once in a while. So all right. So Jeff, I will stop sharing and I will pass it over to you, and you can share whatever you need to. Okay, here we go. I'm going to post our presentation for tonight. Before I get started, thank you so much for having us tonight, Brian. I appreciate it as always. And tonight, what I hope to do is share some more stories of the awesome science that's happening at Shoemate Middle School in Gibraltar, Michigan. We've got some great things going on with our students, you know, not just inside our science classrooms. We have amazing robotics happening, some great teams. I don't mean to brag, but there's just so many cool things. I'm blessed to work at such an awesome school. So tonight we get to share out our tree measurement story with everyone. And this is me. I am Jeff Bauman. Like Brian said, I teach middle school science, Shoemate Middle School in Gibraltar, Michigan. I'm also an adjunct professor, University of Michigan, Dearborn. My hashtag is Getting Science Done. It's what I believe. I put it all over everything. I'm super obnoxious with that, but that's like my own little personal mission statement that, you know, we learn science by doing it, and that's what we focus on every day of the week at Shoemate and U of M Dearborn when I work there too. So you want to look up some of my work, you can search that hashtag, or you can find us on Facebook, Shoemate Science on Facebook. And like I always say, if you haven't liked us already, I don't know why you haven't, so you can do that now. I won't get upset. And here's my contact information. There's my email, baumaj@gibdis.net. And you can also find me on Twitter rambling about random science stuff, you know, like the rest of Twitter does. So, that is my contact information, and this is where I work. This is the Shoemate Middle School, Carlson High School campus. Our middle school and our high school are connected as one big building, and we are right next to Lake Erie in the Detroit River, downriver Michigan. So this is a picture that my students captured with the Aaron project. We sent Kite Way up with a GoPro strap to it. It was taking pictures every 10 seconds. And this is a nice picture of our campus. And I think somewhere in the upper right-hand corner back in that neighborhood, I think Brady lives back there somewhere. I think I can see his house from up here. So Brady lives back there. And this is, if we were to continue going higher up, this is directly above our school. We are adjacent to a wetland, and we have lots of trees on our campus. We have so many to measure. We could just go crazy with it and measure trees all day long. And so we do a lot of SMAP measurements, a lot of hydrology measurements, surface temp. I'll share what we're doing in a little later on, but this is straight up. And if I were to go up a little higher, in the red circle, you'll see Shoemate and Carlson, and then you can really take a look around us. We are surrounded by water, and like I've said in other presentations, as a science teacher, this is a playground. It's awesome. There's so many different things we can measure. I just don't have enough time to do all of that, but we really have a lot of cool stuff going on. And so that leads us into what we're doing with Mr. Campbell and the ICESat-2 satellite. This is one of my favorite pictures, and I apologize. I was trying to find a picture with Thomas, Lily, and Brady in it, and I must have lost it somehow. But this is Thomas and Brady. They went out in a snowstorm, and the cold and snow was not going to stop them. And I snuck up behind them and took a picture of them measuring a big tree right alongside my classroom there. And our pre-measurement team, they go outside every day, and they take one. Hey, Thomas is here. All right, cool. He showed up. So I was just bragging about you, buddy. So this is our tree team, well, 2 of the 3, and they go outside every day, take one measurement, bring it back inside, do their calculations, and then they'll go out the next day, take measurement number 2, and then they'll go out the 3rd day, take measurement number 3, and then they will submit the measurements to Globe themselves. So they're doing outstanding work. And like I said, I think this right here is a wall hanger, Brian. This is a good picture of tree height measurements in action. So that's Thomas with a clinometer and Brady off to the side there helping out.
That's a great one.
And I snuck into the storage room, and I took a picture of their clipboard with their data. So they bring a data sheet outside with them every day, and they record their measurements, and they just jot it down as they go. And once they have their 3rd measurement, they submit. So there's a picture of their clipboard. A little messy, but it's okay. It's science. It's outside. It's raining. It's snowing. You know, it's all good as long as the numbers are right and accurate. And on to the next slide. These are the tools that our team uses. So we purchased the clinometers online. I believe they were $20 at a forestry website. Does that sound about right, Brian? I think I sent you the link. I forgot where I ordered them from. But instead of using the paper straw ones with the weights, I found those, and I really like them. So do you remember where we got those, Brian?
I think it was Forest Supply, but I'm going to look that up right now. I'm going to go find that link, and I'll post it in the chat.
Sweet. And those tools are great because when you look at the green clinometer on the side, pretty heavy duty. The students just look right up, the 45 through the 2 holes. And then there's a little mirror right there that shows them the level, so they can see when they're level, so they have the right 45-degree angle to take their measurements. Stanley tape measure, those are the best. They take that outside too to measure the distance from the ground to clinometer. And then they have 300-foot tape that they bring outside. And what I like about that one is I believe on one side of the tape, they have it broke down to the 16th of an inch. And on the other side, they have the engineer's tape. So it's broken down into the 10th of an inch. So the decimal points are really easy to use and helps them, convert. So they take their measurements in standard, they bring them inside, they convert them, and they convert to metric. And then once they're done and they want to find out what the tree is, they use the forest tree identification app that we have on my phone or on our classroom iPad. We've got that on there as well. So they use those tools and the clipboard to get the job done. So really, pretty easy. I think it was about, I don't know, $50, $60 for all that stuff. Our PTO donated the money to purchase this about a year or so ago. So it didn't even come out of my pocket. When I got the prices for it, we didn't really have much of a budget because it was the end of the year. I asked our PTO and they're like, yeah, sure. You're working with the ICESat-2 satellite. Absolutely. We'll purchase this for you right away. So it doesn't hurt to ask. Most of the time the PTO says yes because they want to see kids doing good science, and this is good science. So those are there. And then moving on, these are the measurements. I just looked earlier today between the first day of school and today, and we've got 7 on the Globe website that are complete. And we didn't start taking measurements really until the end of September, early October. We were getting things ready to go, starting the Globe Advisory, which I'm going to talk about a little later on, and just training Thomas and Lily and Brady one more time. That way they know how to do it, be self-sufficient, and make sure they take accurate measurements. So, and another thing too is that this work is their work. I will do a data quality inspection of their work. Like I'll look at it to make sure it seems legit. But for the most part, looking at what they have and seeing the trees around us, I think the numbers are very accurate. I think they're doing a fantastic job. Proud teacher right here for sure. So we've taken those measurements. Here's an example of one of them that the group put on, they entered into the Globe website. So I just kind of took a picture of it. Very easy to do. Measurement 1 was taken one day, measurement 2, second day, measurement 3, the third day. I think, with the 20 minutes they have to get outside and take their measurements, they really have a hard time pushing through 3 measurements in 20 minutes. So to be honest with you, I don't think grows too much in 3 days. So I think those are pretty good, taking them 3 days instead of all in one day. So once they're done, they'll take my phone or the iPad and, they get the GPS of the tree and it's back inside and they submit everything. So after it goes to Globe, the data that they've collected goes on the data board. This is a board that's right behind my desk. I took this dry erase board and I marked it all off with tape for each Globe team that we have. And what the students do is they throw their data up every day. And so, just seeing the numbers and seeing how things are changing, it's really rich for students. And I believe in it wholeheartedly. I think it's a great thing. And so each team puts their data up. You'll see right here, tree is unknown. Why is it unknown? Well, it's lost its leaves. We don't know what it is right now. We know it's GPS, but we don't have I don't think we have any tree leaves left on the trees around here right now. So the big leaf drop is kind of over. So the team takes care of that. And, here's a picture of last year when our students were starting to learn how to do this, when Brian was training me on the method, and we were taking groups out, each hour and, taking measurements of trees. Thomas was, in on that. Brady was in on that. They loved it. And, when we brought them into the Globe Advisory this year, one of the first things they said is they wanted to work with you, Brian, and the ISAT-2 satellite, and they've been going bonkers ever since. So I'm going to kind of stop talking for just a few minutes now, and I'm going to kind of put these little guys on the spot and let them spill their guts here. So we have Thomas who's joining us, and we have Brady as well. And if you guys would like, you can unmute your microphones and, we might ask you some questions, or you can share out, some of your thoughts. So go ahead, guys. Or Brian will unmute the microphone for you. There we go. Thomas, you want to go first?
Oh, why not? All right. So
What do you think? What do you think about taking these measurements, buddy?
it's actually pretty fun. It's really enjoyable, besides the fact when we have to run halfway through the courtyard with snow. But besides that, it's worth it. It's pretty fun.
How about you, Brady? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I think it was a pretty fun time to go outside. Even like when it's cold, it's still enjoyable to take the measurements and finding out how tall this tree really is.
Hey, if we were to ask you guys, what are some of the problems you run into? What's difficult about this? What would you say?
Weather.
Yeah, weather, definitely.
Hey, so I have a couple questions.
Yep, go ahead.
So, hey, so how hard was it to figure out how to use that clinometer? Took some time to get used to be able to look at the top of the tree and also look in the little mirror and look at the level?
Not really. We kind of figured it out in the first 2 days because we kind of do a partner thing where Thomas, he'll have the clinometer and I'll look at the level so he doesn't have to look through the mirror and he just sets it up.
I like that. Tag team. That's awesome. So the trees the ones that you're measuring, are they primarily on level ground? or are there slopes there? I mean, there's probably a little slope here and there, but they pretty much level. The one you're taking here in this picture, it's pretty level.
Yeah, I would assume that most of them are pretty level. There's not like any hills that they're on.
Yeah. Yeah, because I know if, you know, sometimes that the green clinometers gets a little tricky with the measurements when you're standing upslope or downslope from a tree. It can get a little tricky. You know, on flat surface it's perfect, but it can get a little tricky. So then you probably have to do a little math to figure out what's going on. You know, why, you know, how to get the tree height as close to actual as possible because of being up or down.
I got to be honest with you. Our campus is very flat. I mean, there's very little pitch to it. You know, everything just kind of points, you know, toward the wetlands. You know, so it can all drain. But and this picture right here is rare because Thomas is complaining about the weather, which is ridiculous because normally he's outside with a T-shirt, no stocking hat on. I hope his mother's listening too, or his dad. But he's usually outside in just a T-shirt doing it with no, you know, just big smile on his face. So he can't complain about the weather too much. Thomas, tell us something here, buddy. What do you think about this and what you're doing, or, you know, what are some of your, you know, what are some of the difficulties you've experienced?
Is it me? My turn? Sorry.
Yeah, your turn, buddy.
My audio cut out there for a second. All right, so a lot of it has to do with the fact of lining up the stake with the tree, because if it isn't lined up correctly, our whole measurement from our distance from myself to the tree can be thrown off.
What he's referring to is there's a little ground stake that once they get the height, they put, you know, right between their feet straight down from the clinometer. They tap that in the ground a little bit. They attach the tape and then they run it to the tree to get, you know, their measurements. So.
I can see that getting trickier the taller the tree is, because then you need more and more measuring tape. Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty cool that you have flat ground there. It's pretty level. Down in Nassau Wallops, we have lots of flat ground, and the trees are easy like that to measure. I know you guys are doing soil moisture samples. That's pretty cool. We're not allowed to do them on Nassau Wallops because there's a potential for unexploded ordnance underneath the ground, so we can't dig into the soil very easily. Well, we can, but, you know, get in trouble for it. I've done it and got my hand slapped because I didn't know any better. But yeah, wink, wink. But yeah,
we have lots of small holes on our campus about the size of, what is it, a silver can like this. We've got a couple thousand divots around our place, Brian.
Yes.
So, anybody have any questions for Thomas or Brady? Or I'm gonna open up the chat, Brian, and see if there's anything in there.
Yeah, there's one from Dr. Lynn Chambers at NASA. You want to read that out, Jeff, to them?
Yeah, Dr. Lynn has asked a question. Is it harder or easier to measure pointy trees like this pine versus a more rounded tree like the one in the other picture? What are your thoughts on that, guys?
They're around the same because, I mean, it just depends because I know you have to line up the kilometer, I think it's, but you have to line the bottom of it and the top with it. So I guess it can vary, but it's pretty easy overall.
So did you guys notice any windy conditions that was hard for you to measure the height of the tree because of it moving too much?
Yeah, sometimes it has affected our measurements because on the first day we measured a certain distance, for example, like 22.3 meters or something like that, and it would be a windy day, and then the next day it might be like 20 meters or something like that.
Yeah.
Because sometimes the wind affects how the branches are, and that's mainly what we based off where the highest point is.
Cool. Oh,
I've been meaning to ask the three of you, have you ever had like an argument about the highest point in the tree? Like I've been meaning to ask that question, but we've been busy with the 9 groups. Have you ever like argued with Thomas Brady about this being the spot? No, that's the spot. Have you ever like debated that or engaged in argumentation, as they call it? Have you ever had any moments like that?
Not really, because with most trees, it's pretty obvious which is the highest point.
I would
And
say
the
about
only
once
time-
or twice, though. I think we have.
Yeah, like the only time it was a problem was like maybe our first or second tree. It just, we couldn't decide which one it was.
Yeah, I see a couple other- Sorry, Thomas, go ahead.
Oh, that's all right. I'm good. I finished.
Okay, so I see a couple other questions in the chat. One is, and when there are no leaves, do you still measure the tree height and to what spot?
We measure it from the highest branch point.
Yep. Good recommendation. Yep. You know, the trees, you know, some of the deciduous trees, when they lose their leaves in the winter, you know, the tree height will probably change because, you know, sometimes, you know, the highest point are the leaves during the, you know, the green season. But then when winter hits and the leaves fall, you know, you'll most likely get some type of measurable tree height difference by measuring just the top branch of the tree. Another
I like
Yeah.
this question, Brian. You want me to read it?
Yeah.
This is from Oscar, and he says, what advice would you give to younger students that are hesitant to participate? And has this been fun for you?
I would say just go for it, because honestly, when I first decided to do it, I didn't really know what I was getting into, because by the time I started first doing them, I had only done one tree, and I just thought it was kind of fun for that one tree, and maybe the rest would be fun, but I had no clue what I was going into, though.
It's very
And I would say,
interesting. Well, I would
Go
say
ahead,
that
Thomas.
it's very interesting, like the more mathematical part when we convert our feet into meters. That's the part that gets me intrigued the most. But so I wouldn't focus more on that, but making sure that your tree measurements are correct and accurate.
I think these guys are going to absolutely love it when the app comes out for the tree height that will measure the tree height for you. I'm guessing, given the opportunity and knowing their technology background and Lily too, I have a feeling they'll just gobble that up. And I'll tell you this, as an educator, I'm looking forward to it. I think that's going to be great. I know you've mentioned it in the past. That this might be a possibility, but now that this is actually coming to life, and this Global Observer app, you know, between cloud measurements that we're doing with Mara Lay and Dr. Lynn, and the mosquito work that we're doing with Dorian on this call, and now this, I mean, this is a really, really good app. And, you know, once you show kids how to use it a few times, let them go bonkers with it. I mean, they can only do good science with it. It's good stuff, you know? So I agree. Our students are doing great things. They are. I'm blessed. I'm working with them. It's truly awesome. So any questions?
Well, you're setting an awesome example, Jeff, for your students, you know, of getting them involved and teaching them teaching them the idea of knowing about your local environment is so vital, because you have to protect it. And, you know, by taking measurements, you can understand what's happening, and then you can protect it.
Yeah, we've got some great kids, and Jody asked the question. Thank you. Yes. The other teachers who worry about tests, how do we deal with the other teachers who worry about test scores? I'm going to tell you a little something. You can tell them to come and talk with me and tell me that this stuff that we're doing with NASA is not beneficial, and I'll run them over. It's just that simple. You know, you learn science by doing science, and getting these guys outside. My Globe advisory, you know, one of the selling points that I had with that was the students are going to come in, they're going to do science, they're going to do math, they're going to do an IBSS project, and, you know, tell me that that's not beneficial to them in the 25 minutes I have them every day, and, you know, nobody said a peep because they know stuff. So we got to keep taking measurements because we're working with you, and I want to collaborate with you sometime soon here, and, you know, what you're doing and, you know, what we're doing as well. So.
Well, awesome job. And we appreciate that as part of the campaign because, you know, having the students take the measurements is what it's all about. You know, that we as, you know, we learn from the data that's being taken by the students and, you know, taking the local environment. And, you know, we had a comment here. This was great. It was from Kanakrat in Thailand, who's on right now. And she said she likes the campaign, and now Thailand is transferring to the raining season, which is very different from what's happening in Michigan right now. So, you know, you guys are out there taking measurements at the same time. Thailand, rainy season starting, you know, monsoon season, a rainy season, but then, you know, they could be getting totally different results. They could have flooding, which can kill trees. They can have enough rain for trees to grow at a faster rate. So don't know. So that's what it's all about. We can't monitor, you know, the exact height of every single little tree from space. We try, you know, with ICET 2 and some of the other missions, but can't do it. So that's why the ground-based measurements are so vital, that you can look at individual trees and take those measurements.
Somebody asked the questions, can students log on themselves, log data, take measurements at home? And my answer is yes, absolutely. My students that do the Globe work with me, they all have Globe logins and passwords. I encourage them to use the Globe Observer app. You're looking at 2 students here who have taken hundreds of cloud measurements over the last couple years just because they're rock stars. And, you know, once we get the tree height app, part of the app on there, Thomas, Brady, Lily, I'm going to cut you loose, and I want you to triple the number of measurements we have because I want that that cool virtual badge Brian was talking about. So make it happen. All right. You got a job now. So, but.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
All right.
Any more questions you want me to quick wrap this up, Brian?
Yep, sure. I'm going to go finish off with something after you're done. But yeah, go ahead. If anybody has any other questions, please unmute yourself and go ahead. All right. Take it away, Jeff.
All right. So moving forward, one of the things I've talked about is the Globe Advisory class, and with the Globe Advisory Classroom, my students that are doing Globe with me this year had to apply to be in my advisory, and they do science every single day. So we have I think we have 9 projects going right now, but we passed out an application. Students had to, you know, write a little essay on why citizen science is important and what you know, sphere, you know, do they enjoy measuring? And so I moved away from the every student will go outside at least once a year and take a Globe measurement model to I'm going to hyper focus on 25 kids this year. I got to tell you, I was a little, you know, leery about changing my ways, but thus far I'm totally happy that I've done this because I have a lot more time to talk about citizen science and teach kids this stuff, and it's worked really well thus far. So I'm just going to run you through some pictures real fast. Got some of our teams. I have a hydrology team on the left, my precipitation team on the right. Everything is, here's what we're measuring. Surface temp with Dr. C. We're doing Mission Mosquito with Mrs. Janney and friends. Plains and contrails with Mrs. Marilay Colin-Robles. We're doing some more hydrology, pH dissolved oxygen in the front pond. Measuring rain, soil moisture. We're doing a 3-year SMAP study in one spot at Shoemate. We are measuring salinity found in the ponds to see the effects of sidewalk salt and Wayne County road trucks. We're doing ICE-SAT with my good friend Brian Campbell right here. And then one of our students is doing a Horse Island hydrology study over by where Lake Erie and the Detroit River meet. And so just going through real fast because I don't want to keep you too long. Everything is housed inside of a Google Classroom. All of our students have access, and I post assignments, comments, ideas, and students are in there. I invited some of my friends to join us. If you'd like to be part of this and see what I'm doing, please send me an email and I'll grant you access to this so you can come in and see how it works. I love it. It's great having an LMS learning management system like this, and all students have free access. We comment, we talk to each other. Scientists, post things. Brian has posted a few times to give the students ideas, and they respond to them, and they take their ideas and they're using those ideas for their IVSS project. So it's been really good thus far. We have student folders online where they just go to their work, they look at their work. Others can go in and look at their work for ideas. And we use Google spreadsheets, Google Docs for everything. So when we were planning our driving questions, our hypothesis, we had, I pulled up the spreadsheet on my big Promethean board in front of the room, and the kids were all working on it at once. It was so cool. We're using LabQuest technology for hydrology. We're using my laptop for Zoom webinars, much like this. We've connected with STEM professionals, NASA professionals, amazing people. We're taking our WeatherStem system. We're using it to data mine 2 years worth of data, and one group's even using it to forecast active mosquito season, which is amazing. We're doing our surface temperature measurements using lasers. I mean, what kid doesn't like to use a laser, right? I mean, that's awesome. By the way, all these trees in this picture right here, they have no leaves on them right now. I mean, they are just bare. Everything dropped its leaves, so it's getting cold. Like I said, students enter their own data into the Globe website. This is Chloe, wonderful smile. She likes entering the data. She's doing a great job with it. I trust my students. Like I said, I data quality checks periodically to make sure they're doing all right. Here is in the middle my team manager. I had so many students, so many projects. I hired Mohammed to be just a team manager because in my opinion, this is project-based learning. And so Mo has taken on the role of the team manager. He is working on what he calls the merch. He wants to make Shoemake Globe Advisory merchandise for the team, his merch. So he's making shirts for us now, the merch. I love that kid. So he's my mini-me. He keeps everybody in check. So if Brady and Thomas don't do their job, he has my permission to go yell at them. It works fantastic. So you got to have Mohammed on your team. And then just keeping organized. And this is like my storage room. We hang our Globe tools, our shovels, knee pads, whatever. Computers are always available for kids. We have our own SMAP oven in the back. It's a little dirty right now because we've taken a lot of measurements. And like I said, my data board, I love my data board. Just every day that board changes, and students have had conversations. Oh my goodness, I remember at the beginning of the year when the surface temperature was this, and now it's that. Mr. Bauman, it's getting cold. And the other day it was amazing because one kid actually said, well, the surface temperature is like 3.1, Mr. Bauman. Maybe that's why the snow's not sticking to the ground. Maybe it's not cold enough yet. And I was like, thank you, done. It was great. So that's that. Some fun pictures. Here's one of Brady and Brian right here from the SRS in Detroit. And Brian being my slightly weirder older brother, and Andy Henry on the left, my good friends. Any questions for me before I turn it back over to Brian? Anything? Okay. I have said enough, Brian. I'm going to turn it over to you, buddy.
All right. Thank you so much, Jeff. Thank you so much, Brady and Thomas. That was awesome. You guys are definitely an inspiration to all the Globe students and educators out there who sometimes just dream to be able to do what all you guys are doing. So we hope people watch this presentation and see that, hey, it can be done. It's not impossible. Tree height is not a very hard measurement. It's pretty easy stuff. It's just finding the time to do that. So thanks again. And I'm going to share my screen here one more time. And I'm going to take you to the website. And on the website, which you should see right now, we have the Trees Around the Globe campaign. And I'm going, as you know, this is the whole section on the left side, but I'm going to click on the intensive observation periods link. And this just went up today. And we have, there we go. This, you can read all about what the intensive observation period is and what we're going to do as part of the campaign, what you're going to do for each individual, like how you're going to take the measurements, you know, what you have to do in order to participate. And there's a little link here that has my name on it. You can click on there, and you just click on there. If you have any questions about it, you know how to get a hold of me. It's brian.a.campbell@nasa.gov. Most of you get, majority of you get my email reminders for the meeting. So once again, that's going to start January 1st of 2019, and we're going to focus on tree height. And I won't go over this again and again, but tree height is the focus, and one additional protocol so you can do some comparisons when you use the multiple data sets. So yeah, focus on tree height and then one other protocol measurement. And that can be anything that you think aligns to the measurements of tree height that you're taking. So read through that when you get a chance, and I will stop sharing. Make sure, if you haven't, I should also mention, click on Campaign Community. If you haven't already, go down here and officially join the community. We have a lot more people taking measurements and joining webinars than are on the community member page. So, but that's great, because if you're a community member, you'll get some notifications when, you know, a blog goes up or something in the discussion forum goes up, or like a document. So you'll get notification for that to keep you abreast of the most, you know, recent information. So please go ahead and do that. So I'm going to stop sharing and ask if there are any more questions, any final questions before we adjourn. I should also remind you the next webinar will be in January. Oh geez, what was that date again? The 15th of January that will be at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. UTC. So we'll be back to the 2 p.m. time. All right. Anybody have any other questions? And please look for this probably tomorrow. Once Zoom sends me the link to the recording, I'll put it up on the website. You guys can take a look at it. And once again, thank you, Mr. Bauman, and thank you, Thomas and Brady, for the presentations. And we're also going to thank Lily for her work too.
Yeah, big shout out to you, Brady. Thomas, Lily can't be here. I'm sorry about that. But let me tell you what, I'm very proud of the three of you and what you're doing at such a young age, because back in the day, I don't think I was doing anything as cool as what you're doing now, and you do it good. So to be, you know, completely honest with you, I'm very proud of you and all that you do. So keep it up, kiddos.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. And I'm going to stop the recording right now.